What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the channel. So I kind of wanted to talk about this whole Charlie Kirk situation. Not so much about the incident itself, because I'm sure you guys have already heard all the details 1,000 times by now. But I kind of wanted to talk about the reaction that people were having to it. Because the reaction is very unsettling, particularly on the left, but also on the right. The right's reaction to this is a bit alarming as well, but for different reasons. Now, the left's reaction to this has, in my opinion, kind of gone off the deep end, because this is kind of an unprecedented situation where somebody as prominent a political leader as Charlie Kirk has been flat out assassinated. Right, this isn't something that happens every day or even every decade, right? I feel like the last political assassination that we can really consider occurred during the Civil Rights era, right? We're talking about Kennedy and Martin Luther King and stuff like that. So this is kind of like the first major political assassination of the West in this century, in this millennium. And the reaction to it is very disturbing. The radical left has taken to celebrating the death of this man. And, you know, I get that he doesn't have the same political views as you. I totally understand that you're not going to agree with him on things, that you may have spent the majority of your politically active life opposing what he was saying and opposing what he was standing for. But when something of this magnitude occurs, when somebody is murdered in cold blood like that, to celebrate the situation is not simply to celebrate the removal of your political opposition. It's also the fact that you're celebrating political violence. That's political violence. That's the definition of terrorism. You are essentially celebrating terrorism. That's not a good precedent to set for yourself or for the world, because people these days have essentially been conditioned to become very vindictive, very, very self-centered, all across the political spectrum. This is not a political thing here. We have all been conditioned to become very self-centered and vindictive. We have taken to abandoning the golden rule and embracing the relishing in our opposition's misfortune. And this is particularly where that type of sentiment leads. It leads to celebrating things like political assassinations. And if you do it in that type of self-centered, vindictive type of environment, then you're not simply setting the precedent for your side to be able to go out and freely do these types of heinous things, but you're going to set up your opposition to think that it's justified to do it against you, because everybody's just relishing in each other's misfortune. Now, so from a sheerly moral standpoint, celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk is not only bad, because it's not that you should simply feel bad for doing it. It's that you should be very, very afraid of doing something like that. Not because somebody's going to harm you for not being afraid, but because you are setting a precedent to justify others, or to rationalize others thinking that it's justified to do those types of things against you. So that's kind of the whole thing with the moral, ethical position on things, because morality is defined as how we are toward other people. And this ties directly into that golden rule. So if we're not cautious about how we are to other people, those people are going to become less cautious as to how they are toward us. And so if we find it justified to hurt them, that's going to compel them to feel justified to hurt us. And that's dangerous. That is very dangerous. And that's not to mention that it's completely impractical, even from a political standpoint. Even if you think that you are going to gain political ground by doing this, like you're going to acquire the reins of power by eliminating your opposition. Well, I mean, from the vantage point of the left, you should probably think twice about that. Because it doesn't make sense for you to gain political ground, it doesn't make sense for you to gain cultural ground by committing violence against your opposition. That is a very self-destructive thing to do. When you effectively martyr your opposition's leader. It's not like you're eliminating their army and capturing their king. It's like you've just eliminated their king and radicalized their army. It's not a very good idea. Okay, I think it goes without saying that you're not going to win support for your side by eliminating the leadership of your opposition. You're certainly not going to convert your opponents to your side, and that's kind of what it means to win support. In order to win support for your side, you have to convert people who don't yet think like you. If you think that there's anybody who supported Charlie Kirk thus far that has now been persuaded to turn to the left and become a leftist because Charlie Kirk was assassinated, that is insanity. That is just pure insanity. And that is not going to happen. So I think it goes without saying, you won't gain political ground by openly celebrating a political assassination. And that's not to mention that it's kind of self-destructive from the left's point of view as well, because of the fact that the left hasn't really been gaining any cultural or political ground over the past decade. They've been just consistently losing ground, ceding ground. Left-wing news outlets have been plummeting in ratings. The left has simply been losing traction this entire time, since about 2016, when they completely unleashed their radicals. They've just allowed their radicals to run wild, going around canceling people for the most minute of political or social infractions. Also, with the whole 2020 election thing, whether or not you believe that was election fraud is beside the point. The fact that the discussion even came up suggests that one side is losing ground, is ceding ground to the other. The very fact that there was suspicion. Why would there be suspicion if there wasn't any even a single iota of motion to back that theory? And I feel like this is kind of why the higher-ups on the left are overwhelmingly condemning the whole assassination thing. They're not, especially the moderate left too, they're all like condemning this stuff because they at least recognize that they're not going to be gaining ground by celebrating this. The people who are celebrating this on the left, the radical left, the people who have taken to social media to voice their celebrations, the people who are openly reveling in this man's misfortune and the misfortune of his family. These people, by and large, are suffering as a result of celebrating this, because now what we're witnessing something akin to what we can call right-wing cancel culture. A lot of these radicals on the left are being canceled. They're having their bosses called, like the people are calling their jobs and getting them terminated for taking to social media to celebrate this publicly. So, I mean, that doesn't seem like something worth celebrating to me. I mean, I don't know about you, but it doesn't seem like something worth celebrating to me. And not only that, but the fact that the right wing is discovering the ability to cancel their opposition is also something that the left wing should not be celebrating. That's something that should be very alarming to them, because that doesn't bode well for the left in the future. Right-wing cancel culture cannot possibly be good for the left, because you got to think about it. It turns into a slippery slope. How long until the right wing realizes that they can cancel the left for saying anything? Because I'm noticing that a lot of the people who are being canceled on the left aren't necessarily even being canceled for celebrating Charlie's death anymore. It's a lot of people are actually being canceled simply for not sympathizing, for not actively sympathizing. they're not crying hard enough, as, you know, to give like a North Korean reference here. But yeah, it doesn't bode well for the left, for the right wing to be going around canceling people for not sympathizing with, you know, a right wing cause. Now, one of the reasons why I think that the radical left has taken to celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, and even more so, one could say, has taken to engaging in political violence itself, is due to what psychologists refer to as the illusion of invulnerability. And this is basically when somebody believes that they are safeguarded against the risks that afflict other people. Now, the left wing has experienced quite a few victories for progressivism over the course of the past few decades. They've essentially been doing what Trump would call winning and winning and winning. In fact, they won so much, they got tired of winning. And so they have become so bold and brazen in their winning and their lack of criticism that they now feel like they are invulnerable, that they cannot suffer any consequences for their actions. And this reality, this newfound right-wing cancel culture thing, is coming down on them like a ton of bricks. Because, like, a lot of them have never experienced something like this. Some of the older left-wing people are old enough to remember the times when they suffered losses, but many of these younger ones they simply weren't alive to experience a true left-wing defeat. But here we are, radical left being canceled for celebrating this assassination. And like I said before, the right wing has taken to pushing it even further. And this is the biggest foreboding factor for people on the left, is that the right wing now knows that it can push further than simply canceling radical left-wing people for advocating for violence or celebrating violence. Because like I said, a lot of these people are getting canceled simply for not mourning. They're not mourning Charlie Kirk. And people are getting canceled for that. And so this right-wing cancel culture seems like it's going to travel into the future. Even though people on the right generally condemn things like cancel culture, they support freedom of speech even when it comes to people who disagree with them, there are plenty of people on the right who, like the left, like plenty of us, who have been conditioned by the same society to be selfish and to be deceitful and to revel in the misfortune of your opposition. And so there are many people on the right who simply don't care. People on the right who would love to see more left-wing people canceled, who would love to see the left-wing suffer. And this is undoubtedly a slippery slope. And it's a slope that we're all most likely going to slip down. Because I can't see the people in this society coming to the realization that, hey, wait a second, we have all become vindictive. We've all become so selfish and so self-centered that we can't tell that celebrating the misfortunes of our opponents is actually self-destructive, and it will have grave consequences for the future. And I think that people would do really well to consider the direction that we're moving in as a result to our response to this whole situation. And so I'll pretty much leave it there, folks. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to hit like, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff, and thank you for watching.